Welcome back everybody. Yep, we're back in the pain cave again, and today we're going to be looking at my top 5 advances in enduro bikes. Now, enduro bikes have come a long way in a very short amount of time. These are what I think are the top 5 advances in enduro bikes, and I'd love to hear what you think. Let's start with coil shocks. Now, there was a time when coil shocks were saved for the bigger brother, the downhill bike, but thanks to advances in tech, they have trickled their way down onto enduro bikes without really any loss in performance. Over time, coil shocks have managed to slim down on weight. You can now find them with lockout levers, and enduro bikes are being put through gnarlier and gnarlier terrain, so the stresses that puts on a suspension unit has become greater. One advantage a coil shock has over an air shock is that over time, heat will not affect it. Now, what I mean by that is when you are hitting these big, long descents, an air can or the air inside that can is going to heat up and affect the performance of that shock. Because a coil shock runs on oil and obviously a spring, this doesn't happen to it. So the feeling of the shock is the same at the beginning of the run as it is at the end of the run. Surely got to be a winner, right? Well, there's more. The tunability of an air shock is always going to be a little bit more. It has the ability to adjust what it does a little bit easier than a coil does, without delving in too deep anyway. But now you can even get progressive springs for shocks. So whereby in an air can you would add some tokens to get that ramp up through the travel, now you can get the same thing but in a coil. Another nice little bonus of a coil shock on an enduro bike, it looks badass, let's face it. It looks pretty cool on there. Now I know that's maybe not an advancement, but you know, looks count for a little something. Now don't just take my word for it. Miranda Miller, Adrian Daly and a whole host of other top pros were all seen using coil shocks at the EWS Trophy of Nations at the end of last year. So there's surely got to be something to be said about the performance benefits of it over possibly the negatives like the weight gain. Now this is always a hot topic, so it'd be cool to hear what you guys think. Drop us a comment below and let's see what you've got on this one. Now next up, and what I'd argue to be possibly the biggest advancement, not just in enduro bikes but mountain biking as a whole, seen in everything from cross-country race bikes to full-on enduro bikes, is the trusty dropper. We started off with some, let's face it, pretty shonky designs with sort of these handheld, quick release levers under the saddle which drop the post. But now they've morphed into these incredibly clever pieces of engineering, some of which are even electronically controlled. I genuinely think it's not changed just how we ride, but how bikes are designed as well. Seat tubes have become steeper and shorter, top tubes have become lower, giving us more room to maneuver. It gives us a better position when riding uphill and more comfort, and because seat posts now have such large drops on them, it's allowed for us to sort of reinvent frames as we know it. A dropper can open up a bike's possibilities, allowing a person to have just one bike that really does it all. Fun fact for you then. In the 2012 Olympic men's cross-country race, the 3 favourites, Schurter, Absalon and Kulhavi, were all on different wheel sizes. Now that's only 8 years ago, which is mental when you think about it. Now, what am I talking about here? Yep, that's it. 29ers. 8 years on then, and it looks like 26 is pretty much dead for anything other than dirt jumping. I hate to say it. 27.5 for the new party wheel, and 29er, if you're a racer, probably the only wheel size to go for, I'd say. First up, they are undeniably quicker. Once up to speed, the 29er just rolls faster. It eats up all those small bumps and dents in the ground and just carries its momentum a lot better. If you're a taller rider out there, well then the 29 is probably also a godsend, allowing you to find a bike that much better fits you. What with enduro bikes, like I said, being much more capable, if you can find a bike that's better suited to you or better suited to your riding style, it's got to be a winner. Nowadays, much stiffer carbon rims or aluminium rims, which are a lot lighter, even though they're bigger, have really opened up what a 29er can do. So gone are the days where you'd smash it into a corner and the thing would flex like a bloomin', pretzel. Now it holds its line, holds its shape as well, allowing you to generate speed and carry that pace through turns and straight sections. I mean, it's a no-brainer. I think 29 is in the top 5 for sure. On bike storage. Yep, that's right, storage. Bikes have become so capable, and I know I've been harping on about that, but we spend more and more time on our bikes, and because of this, storage and being able to carry the bits we need has become more important. So if you can stash something on your bike, in your bike, or cleverly with it, then I think that is top 5 worthy. So whether it's something from the humble gear strap like this to actually a multi-tool or something really clever like the EDC tool that sits in your steerer tube, or Topeak's Ninja bottle cage which has a multi-tool attached to the back of it, having the basics on you or attached to your bike can get you out of a world of trouble. So much so actually that if you want to see how much you can do with a multi-tool, Henry in another video managed to strip and rebuild his entire nuke-proof reactor just with a multi-tool. Now, with advancements in drivetrain technology being stepped up a gear, you can go from anything from a very basic GX group set up to a fully fledged Gold Eagle drivetrain, looking bling and pimp as anything on the back of your rig. Shimano obviously with a 12-speed drivetrain as well, and yeah, you can pretty much do anything with those. And with this is normally enough gearing to get you up the steepest of mountains and back down the gnarliest of descents with ease. The absence of that front mech on that enduro bike, well, less things to break, less weight, less things to go wrong in general. That's a wrap then. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you've liked my top 5 advances in enduro bikes. Now, I'm sure you've got your own opinions and I would love to hear them. So let me know what you think your top 5 advances are and drop us a comment below. Now, as always, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and hit subscribe, and look forward to seeing you again. Thanks everyone and happy riding.